back to TC911 Beyond the Call podcast. This is episode 11. I am your host, Abbey Dudek, the communications coordinator here at Tarrant County 911 District. And today I have the great, fun, awesome pleasure to talk to GIS Director Phillip Rowe. I knew I was going to do this.
Roar Bow. Perfect.
There we go. That makes it a little bit more educational, doesn't it?
It does.
Everybody knows how to say your last name.
It's not easy.
That is excellent. Well, thank you so much. I know that you're a busy guy in the GIS department, and I wanted to thank you first off for joining me to be on my podcast.
It is my pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So, Director of GIS. Now, I knew that you didn't come in as Director of GIS. Phillip, how long have you been with Tarrant County 911 District?
I have been with the district for 25 years.
Oh, my.
Came in
when you were 12, right?
Just about. I just turned 13.
Fun.
Actually, in contract as... to 97 and started full-time in December of 98.
Okay, good
And
times.
I came in as a contractor doing GIS technician work.
Oh,
I have
excellent.
worked my way up through the ranks, if you will, to now being fortunate to be tabbed with the director position.
All right, and so you went to school with just in case anybody out there doesn't know, the Geographic Information System.
Perfect.
Yeah. I got
it was
that.
still a budding academic discipline at the time, so there weren't a whole lot of options available beyond classes.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually had a degree in political science and a minor in geography. So where I was headed was still that direction with a very slant towards political geography and boundaries and things like that. So it actually was a much more seamless, natural transition than it might sound.
Sure, yeah. It doesn't sound like you just kind of merged in lanes. That's
Exactly.
So, because I know your passion for your alma mater, would you like to share with the folks at home where you proudly carry your degree from?
I graduated in 1993 from Texas A&M.
Yes, there you go. Good job.
And I hide it immensely.
Yeah, none of us know that at all.
Can't tell by looking at me.
Not your personalized plates, nothing like that at all. It's a complete secret. I'm just psychic. So I didn't know I carried this gift until I started working here at the district. But hey, you know what? I'll take it.
Absolutely.
So that's great. So you have been here literally this is the beginning of your career. That you started 25 years ago.
It was actually my second job.
Yeah. What was your first job?
I was working for a law firm in San Antonio doing delinquent property tax collection, which is actually where I learned about the formal, more GIS aspects.
Oh, because the properties.
Doing property research, I ended up talking to the GIS manager at the Bexar County Appraisal District.
Okay.
And I'm not sure, light bulbs started going off and connections were being made, and I very quickly discovered that was an avenue I wanted to go.
Great. So when you started here at the district, what was your what did you start in as? You started as a new kid, obviously.
Yes.
25 years ago.
25 years ago.
Wow. Good job, Phillip.
Thanks.
That's impressive. I really have to put the emotion on there. And then, so what is some of the things that obviously we don't do now? Because just like anything, GIS technology changes just as much as all the other technology because we do all the maps.
Right.
So what was it like when you first started here versus today?
In some aspects, it's very much the same. Since our focus was in on streets, street names, boundaries, specific addresses, what might have migrated a little bit is our focus on individual addresses, address points, rather than ranges. So it was kind of more of a MapSco. I mean, it was more like a map book approach early on, and now we are very centric on specific addresses, those locations, again, verifying boundaries and things like that. So the software we're still with the same software vendor, but some of the internal structure files are different.
Sure.
But beyond that, it's ever evolving, but all in the same breath, there's a lot of similarity from the day I started.
So explain to everyone at home, GIS, what is this GIS department and how does that play into our assisting the 911 centers, or we call them PSAPs, public safety answering points? How do you guys function in this big, how do you guys play in this big game that we have?
Excuse me. It is very much it's a little bit of a duplicative amount of effort that we do, a lot of what the cities do. The cities assign addresses, new neighborhoods, street names, but we then incorporate all of that. We do our own GPS field data collection when necessary, or work with the cities. And it's just to get an overall ubiquitous street centerline address layers that our PSAPs can use for the 911 call location.
So I know that, and I know this is a big thing, so that we can put it out there on podcast land. You know exactly what I'm going to say.
Sure.
Your 911 address and your it's okay. It's been a big thing. I'm just going to be transparent. So we don't here at the district, at least Phillip's team, are not responsible for you want to go into this, where I'm going with it, the 911 address versus the mailing address, and then also like who's responsible for putting that in, because we just get it from the city. We don't take it directly from the citizens. Right. So if you want to elaborate on that, on what you would like to communicate about that, because I know that's kind of been something that we're wanting to continue to educate folks about. Right.
I'll say it's been a little challenging, but yes, there are differences in addresses. You've got your physical property address, your mailing address, which can often have a different city name based on who provides your mail. That mailing address has little bearing on your actual physical address. And then we had somewhere along the lines, someone caught wind and developed a term called a 911 address. And unfortunately, I think that just really further confuses the situation, because it sounds like a different address. Well, yeah, we're here at 2600 Airport Freeway, but our 911 address is something else? Yeah, it's 2600 Airport Freeway. So whatever the addressing authority assigns your address to be is your 911 address. When the city assigns it, they send notification to utilities, USPS, and us and a number of other people. So we're told from the cities what your address is at the time that it's assigned. So there's nothing additional, no additional forms, no legwork, nothing has to really be brought to us for that. It's really, as far as we're concerned, that there's no such thing as a 911 address. It is what your assigned property address is.
So let me ask you this. So one of my residents, I was up in North Fort Worth, and sometimes it was tagged as a Keller, and sometimes it was tagged as Fort Worth. But my utilities like water and trash were Fort Worth. So how does that come into play because I'm sure there's a lot of folks out there that have that same thing who are on those borders, especially like the zip code I was 76244. And a lot of them can be
where I live as well, and it does get confusing, but that is one thing. Again, the property address, who you pay your taxes to. Now, we do pay them to Keller ISD, but we pay them to the city of Fort Worth. So another nice, easy reference is the water bill, trash. What is on the side of the trash cart when you roll it to the curb?
Yeah, there you go.
Stamped with City of Fort Worth. So we just try to find little easy markers for people to reference, because it is very confusing.
Oh, and absolutely it is.
We don't discount that at all. It really is. And even when I moved in, the closing office said, yes, your address is this, and you can use either Fort Worth or Keller. I'm like, well, that's just confusing.
Yeah, because I want to, one day you feel like Keller, one day you feel like Fort Worth. It just depends.
Exactly.
But I like how you said that. Check what does your bin say when you roll it out on trash day? That is perfect. And you know what? I should have, because since I've been working in the district, and I've learned so much from so many departments, including yours on GIS and things like that. I've gotten so strict on my on my jurisdictions. Like when someone's like, "Oh, you live in Keller." No, I don't. I live in Fort Worth, and I'm going to stand my ground on it. So now I know I can just take a picture of my trash can and just say, "See, this is Fort Worth."
Here it is.
So but there's always a lot of those areas. It's that area big time because it's so booming up there, overpopulated.
Yes.
I think. Well, maybe it just hasn't grown into its roads yet. It's the best way to put it. We haven't grown into our roads.
There we go.
I'm gonna put that on a shirt. Fort
I like
Worth.
it.
Haven't grown into our roads.
I like it.
That's why we keep building more.
The Keller area in particular, and Hazlet,
Yes.
Hazel, or really the entire North Tarrant County. That population has exploded.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of confusion. That's where I would say a lot of our 911 address questions come from.
Oh, I believe it.
Or in those
It's
areas.
understandable. See, now I went ahead and got out of that confusion and packed my bags and moved south Fort Worth.
There you
No
go.
longer a problem. I know I'm dead center in Fort Worth.
There you go. Now, as long as you'll find it more in the Crowley area, but where you're at,
Oh, I'm not.
you should be fine.
I'm pretty golden there. Should be not in that Crowley, Burleson, am I in Johnson County thing. So yeah, we're good there. But that's it. That's good to talk about those jurisdictions too, because I know the citizens always have wonderful questions for me when I'm out in the public about, well, I'm confused. I live just south of Everman, but I had a call and the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office showed up and Everman Police didn't show up. There are pockets in Tarrant County that are going to be, unincorporated?
Yes.
And then that's when the Sheriff's Office will come out.
Right. So the Sheriff's Office and the Fire Marshal's offices will take care of the emergency services at that point. So it's very possible to have a neighbor across the street having an entirely different set of responders.
Yeah, that's something I like to really communicate with the citizens, because I can understand confusion. If we didn't work in this industry, we would have no idea. If you live across the street from me and you got Fort Worth and I'm getting Tarrant County Sheriff's Office, I'd be like, do I get both? Or is it just who's available? Do they high five each other and just decide who's going to go? Draw straws? No, but it's these pockets of, and I think a lot of that too is down in the Everman area, but then there's also up by Eagle Mountain Lake.
Yes.
Right, is a big area because they have so many different houses that are going up there, and I think they're trying to annex everything.
There's lots of annexation taking place in the north and west.
Holy annex.
Yes. Exactly.
Next time you go to a meeting with any of the city, I want you to say, holy annex, and then just kind of just stop and see what happens. And then probably quickly leave or pretend you have to go get a drink of water. I just, sometimes
I will make that happen.
Sometimes you just need to just kind of throw people off guard on a meeting that might just be like, hey, let's light it up. Holy annex.
I like it.
So that's really interesting. Where do you foresee, or what you can share, the whole growing north and taking over Hazlet, and how much Fort Worth itself, because I know we have other cities in this great county of ours. I know that. But Fort Worth just keeps almost like bleeding over into like going towards the Weatherford direction and going up north into Hazlet. Where does that stop, or how does that work? I don't know if that makes sense what I'm asking, but
it does. And they would go, the pockets around Hazlet, they can't actually take Hazlet itself, right. But yeah, they're going northwest into that unincorporated area. They have what's called an extraterritorial jurisdiction, and that's where their right to annex. So Fort Worth generally has, as I understand it, a 5-mile buffer from their city limits. So then as they annex, that 5 miles keeps continuing to push out. You don't eat into the 5 miles. It's always 5 miles from that border.
Sneaky.
So they are pushing up to the north, northwest, and then, yes, out in the Parker County region with Walsh Ranch development. Then they're doing a lot of annexations into Parker County right now to help build out that community.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, because I was just out there this morning for a Safety Smart rally, going out there. It was out in Hazel, so that makes sense. And a lot of times too, when I tell people that, especially when they go to Texas Motor Speedway, and they're like, "Oh, we're in Denton, right?" And I'm like, "No, this is actually still this property is Fort Worth. the Texas Motor Speedway is covered by the city of Fort Worth, but then around it is that Denton still up there? Yeah, everything around it is Denton.
Right.
Because we don't have the Buc-ee's.
Actually, we do.
Do we have the Buc-ee's?
We do.
I can never remember. I knew that the Texas Motor Speedway was like an island, and then I didn't know we had Buc-ee's. I thought that was out of Tarrant County.
I have to check the exact line. There's still a couple of pockets of unincorporated area there.
I just want a Buc-ee's under our belt.
But I feel like the Buc-ee's is...
It's ours.
Quote unquote ours.
In our heart.
And it's always ours in our heart. That's
we just
true.
really want to provide 911 services to the Buc-ee's, just to say we provide 911 service to the Buc-ee's.
Absolutely. If I can get some, complimentary beaver nuggets out of that one.
You know, those taste like corn pops.
They really do.
Do you remember the corn pops?
Oh, I do.
Do they even still make those anymore? Kellogg's corn pops?
They do.
Do they really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I remember. You know what? I'm not even going to say what year I remember eating those, but that's what beaver nuggets take. When I moved to Texas and I finally went to a Buc-ee's because I felt like that was my rite of passage.
You had to.
I was like, what is this Buc-ee's and what happens?
Like the cinnamon beaver nuggets.
Okay, well, now I can't eat that stuff anymore. But when I had the beaver nuggets, I was like, oh my gosh, these are corn pops. Mm-hmm. Does the Kellogg's company aware of this?
They weren't before.
They weren't before, but now because of my TC911 podcast, I've now created a brawl.
The shape is different.
The shape is different. That's interesting. Good time. See, you just never know what kind of conversations are going to come up in our fun little podcast here. Well, that's awesome, Phillip. Yeah, I love this information about it because jurisdiction it's such a broad topic, especially within the public itself, for them to understand how it works. And when people are super confused, because I remember being a dispatcher at North Richland Hills, and of course that dispatch for Watauga, Haltom, and Richland Hills, and was it Beach Street? Anything on Beach Street and west of Beach Street was Fort Worth. Anything on the other side, but not on the street, was Haltom City, except for the intersection of Northeast 28th Street. I'll take that to my grave, because it's like if I remember anything from dispatching six and a half years ago, that is one thing I always remember. So it's just, there are areas that are like that, because with that being said, I mean,
it's absolutely right, and location is important, and
yes.
I know we push that as an agency, but in my realm, in mapping, it means everything, and a description, to the street or to the intersection is very different to me. I see it. Is it before this side? Is it the right of way? Is it the easement? Is it the? There's just no
Yours
shortage of questions.
More in depth, because you guys do the maps. So if you haven't kind of placed all this together, Phillip and his team put together the maps that are on our phone system, like the information and everything. But it's color coded for them exactly like that. Like there's a different color right there. So that intersection that I just talked about, the 28th and Beach, it has its little pocket of the color for Haltom City, and so it's done very well. So good job, Phillip.
Thank you.
And team.
Yeah, we have a very good team here, but yeah, it's because a lot of times we find that color coding the jurisdictions it helps separate for the call taker just what the different divisions are, different municipalities, different responders, but all in the same breath, it's easier to see that and reference it than it is to read. So you can visually see a different color and know
that's Fort Worth.
That's Fort Worth.
Yellow.
And so it's
Fort Worth.
It's nice to have that. I don't know, just a multiple level of identification for the call takers.
Yeah.
So.
There's so much behind the scenes, and that's what, this is our first season of this is what my goal is, that people can hear y'all here at the district and what you do and what goes behind the scenes. And the mapping itself, I mean, that is, everything here is a big thing. But it's like the mapping on the streets, everything, it's just crazy. And then you have some areas where the apartment complexes, they don't have really city named street, or they're not recognized by the city, but they have them in their own apartment complex, but they're not registered as actual, you'll get your main apartment address, but then within the apartment, they're like, oh, I'm on Bubblegum Drive inside of my apartment, and there is no such thing as Bubblegum Drive because it's, well, one, no one names their street that. But the point that I'm making is that I have seen that where the apartment complexes have their own street name. So do you want to elaborate that and why they do that and how that can, what can we do to help educate with?
It's a lot of times if they can work with their city personnel to get those names, identified, registered, would be great. But just to where if emergency services, if they're looking for Bubblegum Drive, then it really needs to have a name that we can then put into the map, but just not what anybody calls it, because otherwise people might just start naming their driveways, and that would kind of start leading to a little bit of a mapping chaos, if you will.
That would be insane, but I would give my driveway a super awesome. Actually, you know what? I'd just be like Abbey Way. Oh wait, no.
I think there
Abbey Road. No, I think I got trademarked out of that.
yeah, I think you lost out on that one. It was a good shot, though.
Dang it. That's it. So, because I remember going to an event at an apartment complex last year, and there was the address of the apartment. So let's say it was 2600 Airport Freeway was the apartments, and it was, I don't know, Texan Apartments. Well, when I went in there was street signs within there, and I was like, whoa. Luckily I just had to go to the office, but I noticed different street signs, but I don't think that was something that was
right. And sometimes
externally.
They do it in double or in multiple phases where they'll start naming them, and then eventually they may start pushing the building addresses off of that aside from the office. They'll keep the office address with that official and then start moving the building addresses off of those internal streets. And so whenever that happens, we do try to get those indoor mapping just to be as reflective as possible.
That's good. I mean, it's still a good thing to talk about, too, because, folks that are listening at home, that they're like, wait, I live in an apartment. Wait, I live in an apartment like that. How do I know if that's registered through the, if I say that my street name that they've given me inside the apartment complex is, can I work with 911? You can always call the non-emergency number and double check and just say, I want to know. And hence stress, call the non-emergency number.
Right. So, absolutely. Please. But the other thing can be to check with the apartment office, the management office, and see how they're referring to them, or if they've differentiated those with 911.
Right. If they're maybe in the process of it, or maybe haven't started yet or something. Right. So, because I can see that as a headache as a tenant, like, oh, well, even with deliveries, with anything.
Absolutely.
Oh, gosh, I would feel horrible. So that's good chat. Phil, do you have anything else for us enlightening with GIS? Any messages you'd like to pass along? We did bring up the unincorporated versus the addressing.
Yeah, make sure you know your property address, not just the mailing address. And which is easy to find on your tax forms, and we're all far too familiar with those.
Oh yeah, it's that time of year.
It is. But really, that's the main thing. The message that we've really been trying to get out is clarification on the 911 address, and that for our purposes, there's no such thing. So just consult, your addressing authority and your tax statements, and even look at your trash can if you need to.
Yeah, look at I'm going to walk away with this from this chat of being true to my trash. My trash is true to me.
Go trademark that one. Be true to your trash.
Be true to your trash. Everyone's like, what's that mean? Well, it just verifies the city that I live in case there's any debate on where I live. But now there's not. But in your area, still debate.
I mean, my trash can says City of Fort Worth, so
there you go. Again, and I'd give you the tip that you could just take a picture of your trash receptacle and send it out to those who may doubt you.
There's a picture of my trash.
Yes, there you go. Obviously. Well, thank you so much, Phillip, for joining me today and taking time out of your busy schedule to have a good chat with me. This was really good information. Jurisdiction is very important for everyone, not only us, but also the citizens at home, to know where you're at, who's responding. And if you have any questions about that, you can always message us on social media, or you can send me an email at publiced@tc911.org, and we can answer any questions that you might have. have. That's what we're here for, right, Phillip?
Absolutely.
We love the community. We love Tarrant County.
We do.
It's the best.
So it is the best.
Well, awesome.
Thank you, Abby.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it and enjoy this opportunity.
Oh, well, thank you. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Be sure to join us every Monday for new podcast openings, episodes. It's a grand show.
It is.
TC911 Beyond the Call. We're on all of your great platforms of choice, Google, Apple, Spotify. You just name your platform and we'll be on there. So until next time, thanks again, Phillip, and thank you all for listening. I hope that you have a fabulous week.